what are you scared of losing or fear the most of losing in your life? What would you say you fear the most losing in your life?
This is gonna sound very egotistic.
What is something that lately you have learned about yourself
Shit.
that really surprised you?
This year has been about because I was embarrassed.
Why were you embarrassed? And that's something I would love to touch on. I think a lot of people don't get started on their goal, vision, because they don't want to be seen starting from the beginning.
Podcasting is something that I've recommended to almost all of my clients and just anyone that wants to get started with personal branding. I started doing it because I wanted to get better with my interviewing skills. Interviews is something that I do in the field. I felt that podcasting would polish my skills, especially with on-the-spot questions, because you can always be prepared for something, but when the conversation turns to something else, you need to be prepared for that as well. I thought it'd be a good idea to rebrand the podcast and niche it down to what I do, which is content creation. So on this podcast, Relaunch, we're going to be interviewing other creatives that make a living off of making content. And I'm not just talking about your Instagrammers and TikTokers. I'm talking about professional photographers, filmmakers. I don't care if it's with a professional camera or with a cell phone. If you are making content for a living or as a side hustle or even just as a hobby and it's something that you're passionate about, I'm going to be bringing these interviews to you so you can get an insight on what it's really like making a living as a content creator. On the Relaunch episode, I had my good friend Carlos come in and interview me and give you guys an insight on who I am as someone who's been doing this for 7 years. And then the second episode was awesome. We had Miranda from Where to Eat Charlotte on, and we asked her all sorts of things with what she does and a little bit of her personal story as well. I guarantee you, if you're into content creation, this is the podcast for you. So yeah, guys, I'm so excited about this podcast because photography, video production, all those things are something that I'm obviously very passionate about. It's what I do for a living, and I thought it'd be cool to have conversations with other content creators and get their insight on how they do things and what they have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, and to show also our consumers, our clients, that hey, this is very much a real and stressful job, but we love it. My goal is to bring you as much value as I can with these conversations, especially if you're someone that's passionate about getting into this for a living. I think with the experience that I'm going to be bringing on this podcast, there's so many of us that are going to learn. I mean, I learned a lot from my first interview with Miranda. So yeah, super excited about it. Today I launched my episode, and stay tuned for some clips to come out from that. Miranda's episode from Where to Eat Charlotte is going to air on January 1st, 2025. So stay tuned for that.
You ever been interviewed before?
No.
First time?
First time. Well, no.
Because I know you've done lots of interviews.
I've never been interviewed before. I don't like getting in front of the camera. Nah, that's how I am. No me gusta nada. It's nothing. I don't like any of it. I'm better behind the camera. So I think. We'll see.
The tables do turn.
The tables turn, bro. I don't like it, bro. It makes me. I've never been the type of person that I like. That enjoys having the attention on him. I like to express myself differently through my work, and that's what I like. But
that's how you express yourself.
That's how I express myself.
Well, today's gonna be different.
Yeah.
One thing that I really wanted to ask you, starting off right away, is Sam Vargas really your name?
Yes.
Or is that an artist name?
No. So my name is Samuel Vargas.
Samuel, that makes more sense.
Samuel Vargas, no middle name. That just tells me that I was probably a mistake. So they were like, fuck it, no middle name, just Samuel Vargas.
Straight up.
Just straight up. I'm the youngest of two, so I have an older sister.
Okay.
Yeah. Samuel Vargas. They didn't bother with a middle name.
So you have an older sister. What does it feel like having an older sibling? Like, I'm the oldest out of all my brothers and siblings, and sometimes I don't know what that even means. You know, it's a big responsibility, but reflecting on it sometimes it could be a difficult position. What does it feel like having an older sibling?
Like you're always trying to not compete but impress. Always want them to be proud of you. And you know, me and her, we're not even like that super close. Like we talk about important shit and you know and that sort of thing, and we keep up with each other and all that. But you get this sensational feeling that you want to always make them proud of you, and no matter what you're doing. So, you know, she's not super big with social media and stuff. So when I see her like something or comment on something, it makes my day.
It's like a trophy. Wow.
Yeah. Especially with how we were brought up and stuff like that. You know, we're not super close with our family.
Okay.
So when I see her proud of me for something, or you know, that sort of thing, it feels good.
Were you guys raised together?
We were raised together until she was about 18.
Okay.
And then she went and did her own thing. Yeah.
Were you guys raised together?
For the most part.
Here in North Carolina?
No, so we were raised in Maryland. So I was born in New York, Yonkers, literally right next to the Bronx is where we lived. And then we moved to Maryland.
Okay.
And that's kind of where I grew up. No, that's where I grew up until I was 18. And then came to Charlotte when I was 18. Didn't even visit Charlotte. We just came straight. Came with my mom. Really didn't have a choice at that point. So we moved here. It was very country back then. It was 2003.
2003.
There was nothing here.
Wow.
I didn't even know how to get out of my neighborhood because you know neighborhoods here are like deep. I didn't even know how to get out of my neighborhood for a while. So
how different was that? Coming from New York. I mean, I'm from New York, so
yeah, we spent a lot of time in New York, you know. And you know, DC was 30 minutes away from us. So the area we lived in it wasn't like city, but it was very busy.
Okay.
And you know, it's different up north.
Way different.
We already experienced a lot of diversity back then. So coming down here in 2003, it was different. It was very different. It was hard. Charlotte has never really felt like home to me, even till now. I feel like an outsider here. And when I'm, you know, especially when I'm back up north, it's not necessarily up north, but when I'm back up north, you know, it's just a different vibe. It's a different crowd. It's just different. And I feel like myself again. You know, I don't feel like the outsider. I don't feel weird. Right. And that's been a constant battle. It's been a constant thing because to me, Charlotte is like a place where there's so many people from so many different places that it hasn't found its identity yet.
Facts. Big facts.
So it's like, it's a very hard place, especially for a creative, to feel at peace or at home. So, you know, that's why I feel like it's really important, especially for a creative. I mean, for anybody, but especially for a creative, to make sure you're moving and visiting different places. It recharges the creative batteries. It recharges the motivation and the inspiration. So
I understand that 100%. Coming from New York myself, with time you would think that adapting and things would kind of feel like it rolls into place. But more people keep coming here, moving in here, and it keeps changing and not finding that identity.
Yes. I also find that a lot of people, they come here for a little bit and then they leave and they go somewhere else. So it's like a stepping stone for some people in that.
Stepping stone, big
I
time.
feel like that's why Charlotte kind of stays where it's at with its identity. It's growing in numbers and real estate, obviously.
Right.
But its identity is still kind of like...
It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
Very tough.
It's getting better, though. It's getting better.
It's getting better. Sam, something I wanted to ask you. What is something that lately you have learned about yourself?
Oh, shit.
that really surprised you?
This year has been about resilience. That's
a big word.
Yeah. This year has taught me how much I can actually put up with and take, and how much patience I have, and also how much self-belief I have in myself to make it through all that shit. Well, before I got into the whole, small business thing and started working for myself, I thought I was gonna. Back then, like, entrepreneurship was so glorified. A few years ago, it was like the thing to do,
right.
But it's not. It's definitely not for everybody, man. It's very mentally draining. It's tough. You sacrifice so many things, and you have really good years, and then you have really fucked up years. And this has been a fucked up year for me, and it's really tested me. It's really tested me to see if I'm going to keep going or not, if I'm going to keep on the same path. And it's made me question multiple times this year if I'm doing the right thing. It's been a constant, is it going to work? Is it going to work? Is it going to work? Until you tell yourself, I'm going to make it fucking work.
That's crazy because, you're a content creator. We get to see all the content you put out. Mm. And everything you put out there is really good stuff, and it gets accepted by all of us. We love everything you do. And to even think that you have doubt in your success, that it's mind-blowing. But a lot of people don't see that. They don't see that that's part of the process. They just see the success behind it.
They see the highlight reel on social media.
The highlight.
Yeah. I have doubts every single day, every morning.
Wow.
And it's just a part of it.
How do you deal with that? What makes you wake up every morning and still have that same push constantly? Because we all know it's about being consistent. I mean, anybody that's in the game knows that you got to be consistent. On rainy days, sunny days, it doesn't matter what comes at you, you got to be consistent. Mm-hmm. What keeps you motivated to keep going, to have that goal?
I think it's really important to evaluate and celebrate yourself in big or small wins, because nobody else is going to do that for you. And when you do that, it gives you a little bit of a push. Like, I've made it up this mountain this far. Why am I gonna just give up and turn back? There's that would be a waste. A waste of sacrifices, a waste of investment financially and emotionally. It would be a waste. So sometimes I just have to sit back and look at everything I've accomplished.
Right.
And every time I say I'm going to do something with my goals, I've done it. And if every year I have goals. Every year I set certain goals that I want to make that year. And 7 years strong, I have not only accomplished those goals, I've accomplished things that I never thought I was going to be doing. 7 years ago, I was taking pictures of my dogs and coffee. I was going to the park and taking pictures of random people and skateboarders and just whatever. And last year, I made my first documentary film. I just finished a second one a couple weeks ago.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Congrats.
So I think that's what motivates me is I constantly have these goals in front of me that I want to keep pushing towards.
Definitely. It makes a lot of sense, bro. And, super proud of everything you've done. I remember when we met.
Not Revolution.
Not Revolution. I mean, it was kind of the same thing, right? You was out there hustling. We pretty much didn't know what you brought to the table at the moment.
Yeah.
And I remember me and my brother Victor out there hustling. We kind of come from that same place, proving ourselves, and not just for other people, but for ourselves. Coming to a new city. How did you start that? Like, how do you go and say, like, first of all, where were you before you even started grabbing a camera? What were you doing before that?
I had 3 jobs. I worked a 9 to 5 in an administrative role for one of the hospitals here. Then I had a part-time job as a bouncer, security bouncer.
Sam was a bouncer.
I was a bouncer, and I was an asshole too.
Kicking people out.
Yeah. And my third part-time was personal training on the side. I did personal training because it was the only thing that I actually enjoyed out of everything I was doing. And still having all those 3 jobs, I was still barely getting by.
Wow.
It was the personal training job that got me to where I am now. I met a friend at a gym. We were working out together. They had mentioned that they had a camera they were trying to sell, and if I wanted it. And at that time, I was thinking about starting a YouTube channel for my fitness stuff, like doing fitness tips and fitness videos and all that stuff. And after she mentioned it, I was like, yo, I'll take it. And she was like, $500. And
you were like, shit.
$500 for me at that time was like, I had to pull like my hairs out or some shit.
Right.
But something told me it was the right thing to do. If I wanted to take personal training serious, I needed to, start marketing myself and all this other stuff. And whatever, I bought the camera, and I immediately started trying to figure out how to use it, and trying to figure out how to post videos on YouTube, and trying to figure out what settings to use, and just I got so wrapped up into how to make it work that every day after work, instead of going to the gym, I was going to the gym 6-7 days a week.
Wow.
Instead of going to the gym, I would go to a coffee shop, my favorite coffee shop. I would sit down and I would research photography basics 101 and video basics 101. And I got obsessed. And then that obsession turned into a passion. And that passion just exploded.
Rised.
It rised.
So you're saying, so basically you're self-taught.
I'm very much self-taught.
You didn't go to school for it.
No film school.
You didn't take no online courses.
No online courses. Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing. It was a little bit of YouTube and then a lot of trial and error, practicing, just going out, putting myself in just weird situations to where I had to learn. I was volunteering at a local church and doing their photography for free just to learn. But the other photographers were professionals, so I was learning a lot.
Right.
I was doing nightlife, And in nightlife, the lighting is horrible. But I make a joke like it's like the Batman story where he does everything in darkness.
Right.
All
right.
those years of shooting at the club, shooting at this church that was always a dark setting, it taught me a lot. Because if you can shoot in those situations, you can shoot in any situation.
Wow. So it's like putting yourself through tough scenarios and figuring it out.
Correct. Yeah.
And then the light comes through, right?
Correct.
I love that.
Yeah. And shortly after that, I started an Instagram page. The Instagram page was called Just a Dude with a Camera.
Just a dude with the camera.
Because I didn't want anybody to know it was me. Because I was embarrassed.
Why were you embarrassed? And that's something I would love to touch on. I think a lot of people don't get started on their goal, vision, because they don't want to be seen starting from the beginning. It's not always the best beginning. So people don't want to get seen, and they feel that type of embarrassment. You know, how did you break the ice?
Well, one, I was embarrassed because at the time, my quote unquote friends, when I told them that I wanted to get into photography and do it professionally, they laughed at me.
Typical.
Yeah, they laughed. And I didn't really get a lot of support at the beginning. And I thought my shit sucked. You know, at the time when Instagram was just photos, I was looking at other local photographers and seeing their work, and it was intimidating. It was like, wow, how do you even do that? So I started following those photographers and just posting photos. I was posting anything. I was posting a pair of sneakers. I was posting a duck that I shot photos of. I was posting a dog. And then I asked another fitness friend, if I could practice some photos on her. And I posted them. They were horrible, but somebody liked them. And then that somebody reached out to me through the DMs, and he started asking me what my prices were. And I'm like, prices for what? What do you want? He's like, I would love for you to shoot photos of me.
And there's somebody you don't even know.
No, absolutely not.
Somebody that can't relate to you.
No.
Someone that has no reason to support you.
Correct. He goes, how much do you charge? And I don't fucking know. I'm like, $50. I'm like,
help me pay for this $500 camera.
Yeah, $50. He goes, okay, let me get back to you. He gets back to me a couple hours later, and he's like, let's do it. Cool. We meet up, shoot the photos. Really nice guy. I didn't have a laptop. I didn't have a computer. I had an iPad mini, the slowest one you could get. And I had to edit each photo individually, one by one. And I didn't know what I was doing. And each photo took me like an hour. So whatever. 2 days later, I got him his photos. And he loved them.
He loved them.
Then I started getting a bunch of notifications on Facebook and Instagram at the same time. There was people following me, and there was notifications. It's going crazy. So I opened my Facebook up, and I see that he posted it. Well, this guy was a D1 football player at his university who was supposed to go to the NFL.
No way.
And he had a big following. He had like 20, 30,000 followers on Facebook. And I read all the comments. Oh, these are fire. Oh, these look so good. Whatever, blah, blah, blah. Happy birthday. I'm like, what the fuck? So I message him, and I go, hey man, did you like the photos? He's like, I love them, man. And I'm like, why did you go with me when you were looking at all these other professional photographers?
Right.
And he says, well, it wasn't just the price, because that's probably what you're thinking. It was that these photographers were charging triple the amount you were, but you had the better eye. And I know you're just beginning, But I had faith that you could take some photos that I would like and I would enjoy. And then I asked him, like, what were these photos for? It was my 30th birthday. And I'm like, wow.
That's huge. We all know what crossing 30 is. Like,
yes.
When you hit 30, you want that to be,
yes,
right? Super special.
Yes. And then from there, that's when I changed the Instagram handle from just a dude with a camera to Sam Vargas _images.
Sam Vargas.
Mm-hmm.
Samuel Vargas.
Samuel Nalgas.
Well, being on that same page, now fast forward, right? Is there anything you would like to improve that it is hard to face? Is there something you feel that you now need to improve, but it's super hard to face? Because I think that's something that is huge. Lots of time, just like starting out, when you start out and you're starting out by yourself, it's hard to face that yourself, right? Because you're facing yourself and you're being afraid of being criticized. But now you're out there. Mm-hmm. Your work is out there. You're working. This is what you do. Mm-hmm. What now? Is there something that you feel that you need to improve? But it's still hard to face, though.
It's definitely the business side of things. Because you always come to these crossroads of, it's constant changes. Sometimes the changes are just every 6 months. Sometimes the changes are every month. And sometimes you're so caught up in things that you don't realize your own growth. And that growth is just like a plant. You need to keep watering it the right way. And I think that's it's a constant struggle for me because I'm not a business person. I'm a creative. So having to learn the business side of things, adding employees, delegating, hiring people to help, it's all brand new to me because I'm so used to doing everything on my own.
Right.
But the type of growth that I'm having at the moment, it requires a team.
Requires help.
You need a team. And when I look at all the successful people that I've looked up to, when I look at not just celebrities, but like, people like you that have their own businesses, when I look at those people, I see they have a team behind them.
Correct.
When I look at my favorite movie directors, they all say the same thing. You have to have a good team. If you're directing something, you need someone in each position to do what they do. If not, it's impossible to make it work. So having to let go, and secondly, you have to market yourself. Marketing, you have to. Like my job is to give others marketing content, and I'm so good at it that I forget to do my own.
Which, and I it must be tough. Which brings me to my next question: how do you balance out your personal life with work? Because, bro, we see you out here. It feels like you're 24 hours creating. How do you keep a balance? I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Right now, there still isn't any structured balance the way I want it to be. But what I do now is I'm very strict with my sleeping schedule, and I'm very strict with how my days start. So key.
Yes. And I know this sounds cliche, but waking up early, the first few hours of the day is when I get a lot of important things done as far as like work and stuff like that. Because, man, as soon as 8-9 o'clock rolls around, it's all about the entire day is running the business.
Right.
It's very hard to not run the business and focus on like editing or whatever. During the day, you're shooting and running the business, right? So the only way to balance that out is to make the time. And you make the time by going to sleep a little earlier, and you're up before everybody else, and you just annihilate a bunch of work before 8 o'clock even rolls around. Exercise is very important to me. It's the only kind of quote unquote therapy I get right now. It's very therapeutic for me. It helps a lot. And I make sure that every once in a while I create something for myself. So as a creative, when you're making money at doing creative things and you're creating for other people, it's great. It's a blessing, but you're not feeding your own creative soul. Right. You're doing it for other people. So it's really important to keep that sword sharpened with just going. It doesn't have to be paid. Just go out and create something just for you. You're going to learn something new. Every time I go and shoot, I learn something new. Every time. 7 years later, I'm still learning stuff. This setup right here, I learned.
It's amazing, bro. I'm loving this whole setup.
Yeah, I learned something new when I set it up. Bouncing the light off, y lo otro, creating the shadows that's on you. Like, I molded the light the way I wanted it to be. And it took us like 40 minutes just to get that.
Just to get the right setup.
Yeah. But, just... and every now and then rewarding yourself.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. You got to reward yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that is very key. Being an entrepreneur, I could tell you that I have learned that your sleep cycle is very important. Mm-hmm. What time you go to sleep, the time you get up. You know, it's no longer the regular schedule. You got to break whatever it was introduced to us as regular schedule. You know, there's no 9 to 5.
No.
You know, and when you do things out of passion, you don't calculate anything. You don't calculate the business side of it, money, time. You're going all in. Mm-hmm. But it gets to a point where we need to understand that in order for us to be productive and creative, we need to take care of ourselves.
Yes.
Being that we have so much access to you, seeing you out there, seeing all your work, is there anything you wish you could be more transparent of?
Just how hard it is.
You wish you could show people how difficult it really is.
Just how hard it is. And almost every day are new challenges of their own kind. Like, it could be simple things like chasing clients down for money that they owe you. It could be, clients that breach contracts, and then you got to deal with that. The legal stuff, the accounting stuff, the loads of work that pile up that you have to handle right then and now. It's hard. It's very hard. It could be very mentally draining. People can easily judge and say, "Oh, Sam's all right. Look at the amazing work he creates. Look at how busy he stays." Yeah, it's my job to show you the benefits of everything I do.
Right.
But you don't see all the other stuff.
The struggle. Just the investment. The investments alone. Like, everything I make just goes right back into the business. So I wish people would see that more.
Because it's not just picking up a camera, throwing some lights up, and taking some cool stuff. It's so much more than that. And it can be extremely mentally draining if you're not taking care of yourself.
Yeah, because people could see you and be like, this guy got to be having so much fun taking these pictures, and he works for himself.
There's some times where I don't want to go and shoot. You know what I'm saying?
Is there times you feel that you'd rather go work for somebody else? You'd rather somebody else. Is there times you feel that you want to get instructions? Have somebody tell you, you know what, do this, and you don't have to deal with actually building it yourself in the sense of creating that schedule, getting up. There's nobody telling you have to come into work today.
Every now and then, it'll come up, but briefly. And that's just a sign that I need to take a step outside, take a breather, take a break, not work that day, you know?
Right.
Because I know that's not what I want. That's just what the soft side of me wants.
That's that weakness that
the
hits
weakness.
us.
You don't ever want to listen to that.
Right.
Because that weakness, when I say weakness, it's your comfort zone.
Correct.
Your comfort zone is always going to want you to pull in to be comfortable. We want to always be comfortable. You know what I'm saying? We want to sit in the comfortable chairs. We want to, just be comfortable all the time. All the time. But when you're comfortable, you make the worst decisions. Or you
100%.
don't make any decisions at all.
Or nothing. And time is just passing by you. Opportunities are just passing by you.
Yeah. Yeah. So when that thought comes up, I'm just like, never. If things got really bad and I needed to, I'll go get a job as a barista. Or shit, I'll go to Bocao and fucking, let me be a bar back for a few nights. I don't care.
Or security.
Shit. You don't want me to be security. I'll do what I have to do. But thank God I've been blessed with so much work that I haven't had to do that. So I'm not saying I won't ever do that if I have to.
Right.
But that's not in my goals. That's not in my plans.
You're humble enough to, if life throws at you, whatever it throws at you, you're okay with doing that. But you're strong enough to follow your dreams and that intuition.
Yes.
That you feel inside.
Intuition.
Try not to lose that. It happens. I think it happens to all entrepreneurs. Some people are open about it. Some are not. Mm-hmm. I like to call it the inner bitch.
That's exactly what it is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it happens to me. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 15, bro. I've been working for myself since 15. And I used to park cars in New York.
How old are you now?
I'm 38 now.
So you've been an entrepreneur
for a long time.
For over 20 years.
A long time. And it hasn't been all success. But overall, I would say I've been living my dream. As long as I can create, I'm living my dream, which I'm sure is probably close to what you feel every day when you go out there and do your shoots.
I think that's important. You have to keep telling yourself, one, this is what I wished for a long time. And two, I'm blessed to be able to do what I love as a living.
Yes.
And you just have to, you got to pay the toll.
You got to pay the toll.
You got to pay the toll to keep doing what you want to do. It's not just, I want to create something artistic and beautiful. It's not just that. 80% of it is running the business and getting jobs to pay the bills and keep the doors open. That's right. 80% of it. The other 20% is doing what I want to do.
Right.
Lately, it's been 10%.
Wow.
But that's because, like I said earlier, you have good years, you have bad years.
100%.
And that's just You just got to keep rolling with the punches.
Yeah, there's no ending road when you have passion and when you're living through your dreams. I don't think there's a final goal, a final ending. It's more important about the journey, the way there. Because once you get there, I mean, what's next? You know, once you get there, what's there? What's the end of it? There's no
There is
end
no
of it.
end.
There's no end of it.
There is no end.
So you definitely got to have a balance.
Yeah.
What are you scared of losing or fear the most of losing in your life? What would you say you fear the most losing in your life?
This is going to sound very egotistic, but the way I've been living these last few years has built me into a different kind of a mentality where you just really can't be afraid of anything. So, you know, being at the age that I'm at, I'm afraid of, because I'm so passionate about my goals, I'm afraid of not having a family, or, you know, working so hard at this and at the end not working out, right? But I know that everything will work out and I will get everything that I want if I keep on the path. You know what I'm saying? You always have that thought in the back of your head that what if it doesn't work out?
Right.
Right. So that's the constant that's the constant fear. But like I said, this year it has taught me to not be afraid of anything, and the best way to handle things is always like head on, full on. There's no let's beat around the bush or let's find let's resolve this some way, shape, or form. Nah, just deal with it.
Face
right
it.
Then and there. Don't
face
let it. Yeah.
100% face it.
So yeah, I don't. And I say this because I feel like what you say is, and what you speak into the universe is very powerful. And right now, you know, been through so much shit that I'm really just not afraid.
You're fearless right now.
You're right fearless. Now, yeah, absolutely.
You have to be fearless.
You have to. It's yeah. But I always have that thought in the back of my head, like, what if all this shit doesn't work?
I think we all have those doubts. Mm-hmm. It's part of it. Inner bitch.
Yeah, the inner bitch.
If you had the opportunity to start from scratch, just start from the beginning. If you had the opportunity, would you choose the same career that you have now?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. My only regrets are not having found my passion earlier. And like, I've had friends tell me like, this one friend in particular, he used to tell me like, I don't believe this is what you really want to do. I just feel like you found something that you're successful at, but you can be successful at anything. He wasn't trying to discourage me from something. He was trying to say, if you can do this, you should probably look at other business entities, right? Yeah, great business advice, but nah, man, that's not what I want. You know, it sounds crazy, but I want to make movies. I want to make straight up movies. I want to be a legit filmmaker, period. And that's one of the hardest things to achieve in the world, to do.
How do you even get there? I mean, how do you start self-taught? You pick up a $500 camera. Uh-huh. You self-teach yourself on how to use this thing. You get a customer that hits you up and does this $50 shoot. And now you're like, I want to do I want to do movies. How do you get there? How do you prepare yourself for that?
So many people still know me as just a photographer. I'm very passionate about photography, but it just wasn't hitting. And I didn't see that photography was it for me. And I've always been into movies. I've always been into just movies and video games were like, that was my childhood. I wasn't your average kid going outside to play with the other kids. No, I was playing PS1, PS2, PS3, and then watching movies, watching The Matrix and shit. That stayed with me. And when I started doing the photography stuff, my style kept changing, and I started getting more interested in creating more of like cinematic pieces and creating things that looked elegant and beautiful. Then I got really into interviews, and I loved interviewing people. I loved studying people and building a story around that. And it wasn't the interviews that I loved. It was the story and me telling that story. So then that's when a couple years ago I started to take video more seriously. And I watched this YouTube video where they interviewed a bunch of movie directors, like famous ones, like Christopher Nolan, Martin Scorsese, like all those motherfuckers.
Right.
And they all said the same thing. If you want to make movies, just go start making movies.
Just go with it.
Just go. Just do it.
Because it seems kind of like, you know.
Yeah, you have to. They're basically saying you just have to start, and that's what I did. I picked up my camera. I asked my boy Andrew if I could film him, if I could film like a little mini documentary, and that turned into a whole hour documentary on my very first try.
Amazing documentary, by the way.
Thank you.
Amazing. I love the whole thing.
After I put that trailer out, just the trailer on my Instagram, I got hired for 2 more short film documentaries, just with the trailer. Short film documentaries.
Are they out yet? Is this something that...
One of them I just finished. The other one is still being filmed. And then I got hired for a 3rd one earlier this year that we're still filming.
Wow.
And then I'm actually we're headed to New York.
Yes.
We're headed to New York in a couple of weeks to film another short film documentary. So the plan is to film as many short films as I can so I can turn them into some film festivals and see what's what.
Wow.
And even if they don't get accepted, I'm still going to keep going because I love doing it. I just love doing it. And yeah, that's just how it took 7 years to figure out what it is I really wanted to do with all of this, but now I figured it out. And it just so happens to be the hardest thing to achieve in the industry. But I'm thankful that we're living in the times that we are now with social media and YouTube and all this stuff, where it's a lot easier for people to see your stuff.
Right.
So now is the time.
It's the perfect time.
Yeah.
We're living in an era where if you really want it, you can really get it. Exactly. All the tools are there. Right. I just think that it has made people comfortable and lazy. You know, a lot of people are just screen sucking and just taking in content. But if you want to be on the other side, if you want to be the provider, you could really be the provider for the world. Everything is there.
Some of the best content creators say to be a good content creator, you have to stop consuming content and start creating more content. You have to create more content than consuming it. And that's the difficulty, because there's so much dopamine and content at our fingertips. Most of us, we wake up and the first thing we do,
hit that phone.
Instagram.
Swipe.
Yeah, and before you know it, you're sitting in bed an hour consuming all that shit. You could have spent an hour writing a short film.
Correct.
You could have spent that hour learning about...
taking a course.
You could have spent that hour making something to put out to the world. So, yeah. But it's easier said than done, man.
How do you define success, and how has that changed throughout the years?
How do I define success?
Because I mean, when you first started grabbing the camera and learning how to use it, that's success right there. You already learned how to use it, but it changes throughout the years. Everything changes.
To me, success is being able to be happy every day doing whatever it is that you're doing. And if you're making money, that's even better.
Even better.
I'm not gonna. Those people that say money doesn't buy happiness are fucking idiots. But at the same time, it doesn't buy happiness, but it does make your life a lot more comfortable, and it helps you get to places where you want to get and do things that you want to do and invest in things that you want to invest in. And that's why learning the business side of things is so important, so you can keep doing those things, right?
Of course.
But success to me is to consistently be able to live off of something that you love doing every day.
Beautiful. I love it.
Because I used to do the opposite, and that wasn't it.
It's not a good exchange. You know, us entrepreneurs and the ones that do things out of passion, we don't really do it for the money, but money is definitely a tool. Definitely a tool that would take us to the next step. It's very much needed.
Yeah, I didn't get into it for the money.
Right.
In the first year or two, I had to do bartending, and I had to do nightlife events just to pay my bills.
Right.
So it's not that I was coasting. Hell no. I was working longer hours, and I was working more to pursue this crazy idea of me being able to live off of photography.
Right.
So I never did it for the money. I did it because I was waking up every day trying to find an excuse to call out of work. I was finding excuses to, quit my job and find something else. But what was I gonna do at that point? Quit my job and find another corporate job where I was gonna be miserable at?
That cycle. Keep feeding that cycle.
It was a cycle, and it was a cycle I was stuck in throughout all of my 20s.
I feel it, bro. I've been there lots of times. And I'm so glad we were able to break out of that cycle. It's breaking generational curses.
Hey.
And that's deep. That's deep. I don't even know if we have enough time for that.
Yeah,
that's deep, right? Breaking generational curses. What
does that mean? From. What does that mean?
Well, to me,
for people that don't understand,
the family you come from, the circumstances you come from, the behaviors, when you're raised on those terms, it seems the norm. And to break out of that is very tough. It's very tough. But when you break it, and not just for you, but for your family, you understand the steps they took to get where they're at, and you're able to pick up on that and actually complete it, take it on, push forward. That's when you start breaking generational curses. Because if not, we're held behind big time.
And it's something that you still have to deal with every day.
Every day.
It doesn't go away.
It doesn't. It's like in your DNA. It's there. It's in there. It's in there for sure. What's the most important thing in a friendship or in a close relationship? What would you say is one of the most important things? It could be friendship or a close relationship.
Somebody who, and it doesn't have to be somebody who supports you. Because I have close friends that they don't support my business. They don't look at my Instagram. But it could be 2:00 in the afternoon and I call them because I need to talk to somebody. And they'll stop what they're doing to talk to me. You know, I have a very close friend of mine who lives in Florida. He's a family man. He's got kids. He's like a manager at his job. He has a side business, a side hustle. He has a house that he takes care of. He's busy as fuck. But when I call him, he picks up the phone.
How important is that?
Yeah.
How important is that to have friends that you can actually count on?
I'll never forget too. Before I started the photography thing, I call him up and I asked him to lend me $200, and he lends me more than that, and he's just like, pay me whenever. And then when I started doing the photography thing, I finally paid him back.
Wow.
That's a friend.
That's a real friend.
That's a friend that they actually care for your well-being because they've gotten to know you as a person, right?
Right.
So what's funny is before I started the whole photography thing, you know, I had like 5 or 6 friends. And those 5 or 6 friends are still the closest. They're like still my close friends where I don't really talk to them that much, but when I reach out to them, you know, they know what it is. And it's,
I like to call those the low maintenance friends.
Eso.
Right? They're not the ones to complain if you haven't called them in who knows how long. But when you speak to them, it's like you spoke to them yesterday, no matter if 2 years pass by.
Because they understand.
They understand. They're real friends.
That to me is a friend. Somebody who has your best interests at hand. It's hard to describe because it's so hard to find. So you know what I'm saying?
Rare.
But it's funny because there's a lot of people that didn't really talk to me or have conversations with me before all of this. And then when I started being successful at what I was doing, all these people started coming out of the woodwork.
Out of the bushes.
Yeah, like, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I've also found good business friends where it's kind of a friendship, but there's also some business ties there too.
Okay.
And those are good friends as well. It's a different kind of a thing, but they exist. And one of my first mentors was like that. We would talk the same conversations you and me have, very personal conversations. We would have those conversations, but there was also business behind it as well. And we understood that. We understood that it was the business aspect of it that kept our relationship tied. But we could still talk about personal things because we had that understanding with each other.
And that connection.
We were both entrepreneurs. We were both dealing with the same stuff in life. So
amazing. If you had to choose between being loved or respected, what would you choose?
Respected.
Respected. You didn't even think about the answer. Really?
No question.
Respected. Mm-hmm. Why?
Respect is everything.
You can't have love without respect.
Nope.
Respect is everything.
Yeah. You know, if you're a spiritual person, you know, God asks you to love him, and his interpretation of that is to respect him as well.
Wow, deep.
You know what I'm saying?
Deep.
So, I've had people tell me that they love me. There's different types of love, but those same people have disrespected me. You cannot truly love someone unless you respect them, period. So I don't give a fuck about your love. Show me some respect.
You have that very clear.
And the love will grow.
Wow.
That's mine. Yeah.
I'm glad you're clear on that. And I needed to know the answer to that. What advice would you give yourself 5 years ago? If you was able to run into Sam 5 years ago, if you could put him to the side, have a coffee with him, what would you tell him?
To stop focusing on the wrong things. And to tell him, if this is where you want to go, are you doing all the things that are necessary to get there? Or are those things distracting you from it? Period. I think that's probably the biggest thing. Mm-hmm.
Distractions could be big.
Yes.
There's a lot of distractions.
They can be big. They can be life altering. They can derail you from what you're working so hard from. It takes years to build something, man, but it takes 2 seconds for it to come back down.
Right. How crazy is that?
Mm-hmm. So I think that's probably the biggest thing I would tell myself is to, I've always been focused, but sometimes focus too hard on the wrong things or the wrong people.
Energy is real, and if your energy is focused on the wrong people, let me tell you, you could lose it all in a second.
Oh, I know.
Like nothing.
I know.
Bro, so, finally we passed elections.
Yeah.
People were stuck on elections, and right? And I'm a big believer that it doesn't matter who's president. It doesn't matter who's in charge. We are in charge of our own life.
Correct.
Our choices will take us where we need to go.
Correct.
So 2025 is coming.
Mm-hmm.
What are we expecting from you this upcoming year?
What's been on my mind every day is to get better at filmmaking and storytelling. Not only that, but to grow my business with those things, to grow the studio, and just see where that takes me. I want to grow my team as well, create opportunities for other people. I think that's the next goal, is to build a team, and reward them. There's just, what people don't understand about me, Sam, you work too hard. Sam, you work too much. Sam, take a break. What they don't understand is that I didn't find what it is I do. I didn't find that until I was 32 years old. So right. I feel like I have a lot of making up to do. You know what I'm saying? That's why I go so hard at everything. And every year I set goals for myself. I never tell people what those goals are.
You keep them to yourself?
All the time.
Why is that?
I'm a firm believer that you should never speak into existence what your plans are doing, what you plan on doing. Because somebody's always listening, and the wrong people could be listening.
Right.
But I will say that, it's gonna be getting better at what I'm doing right now, and I'm planting seeds at the moment. Planting seeds.
That's huge.
Planting seeds to see where it takes me. I'm getting back into YouTube.
Okay.
YouTube is something that I've been really passionate about wanting to do. Solely to practice making videos. That's it. Practice making videos, practice making short films, practice making all the cool shit that I want to make for me, nobody else. So I guess you can, to answer your question, is to expect to see a different kind of a growth, for sure.
Perfect. Well, we can't wait.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Yeah. Now we got to get you back on here and interview you.
Interviewing me?
Yeah. So for y'all that don't know, Mr. Carlos here. Mr. Carlos here is a very creative, intelligent, artistic, smart businessman, individual, and entrepreneur. And I believe we could learn a lot from him. So on the next one, well, I don't know if it's the next one. I don't know if I can get him on the next one, but I would love to have him on and interview him, because I learn a lot from him, and the people around him learn a lot from him too, and he's extremely humble about it. He'll never speak on it, on how dope he is. But we'll get back to that. But thank you so much, bro, for doing this.
Bro, thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for your words. I am truly honored to be able to sit here and speak to a person with so much wisdom. You have such a big heart.
Thank you, bro.
And not just because of what you do, but the person you are. I'm so proud of being able to say that you're my friend. Thank you, bro. If there's anything that you ever need, me and my team will always be there for you.
Thank you, bro.
And,
I know that.
Thank you for everything you do for us, 100%.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for listening. If you made it to this point, thank you for listening to the relaunch of the HisViewz podcast. Expect more interviews like this. Expect a lot of content creators on here. Expect a lot of entrepreneurs and just other creatives and all the things. And my hope is that you learn something from each episode that we do. So thank you guys for listening. We'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Fire. Damn.